welcome to Blesstie Convos.
Welcome.
This is season 2.
It is season 2.
Yes.
I'm Tarsh.
I'm Ray D.
And together we make up
Blessed Friends. Throw some Z's on it on this sunny Sunday. Please and thank you.
Yes. So, how y'all feeling today?
Yeah, I'm good today.
I'm good too.
Yeah.
I'm good too.
Fall has been good to me thus far.
Oh, yes. I hope it stay like 60s for a little while. Give me a few more, at least to after Thanksgiving.
That would be great.
That'd be wonderful. Mm-hmm. Yes. So
I can keep the snow though.
Yeah, I don't want the snow at all. I know you guys have been waiting for this show because we've received a lot of great feedback today.
We have.
We most definitely did. We're talking about children's grief today.
We are.
Most definitely. Grief is something that's in children. I mean, everybody experiences it. However, children, where it's not always recognized with them.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into that. We have 2 amazing organizations here today. A power team, mother and daughter.
You know, it just makes my heart smile every time I think about these two.
Yes. Did you ever experience any grief as a child?
You know what I have? I didn't think about how much grief I experienced until we started to talk about, think about doing this and producing a show, because I experienced a lot. I didn't realize that before I even hit high school, I had lost all 4 of my grandparents.
Jeez.
And 2 of my grandparents passed in my home. And just watching my grandfather, he had cancer, go from like the strong, man to where my father had to carry him. When I started to think about those times, I was like, wow, that was rough. And I knew then that I was going to grow up with no grandparents at all. And when you're a kid, you're just going through it and you watching everybody else grieve. And so, I went back to those times and just was like, wow, that was kind of rough.
Do you remember experiencing any type of love and support during that time of grief from your parents or older siblings at that time?
To be perfectly honest with you, not any that was personally for me. We grieved as a family. We recognized what was going on. From the Kingdom Hall, I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. We would get some things from the Friendzz at the hall, but nothing like, Rachel, how are you? How are you dealing with this? I remember one time one of my cousins got killed, and I wouldn't let go of his obituary. And I went to my mom, like, Mom, this is really, and she was just like, you got to let go. That was her way of saying, like, okay, she dealt with it by telling me, stop thinking about it.
Just get over it.
Yeah, and, that's what I've experienced.
Yeah.
How about you?
I can remember early on, I have an older cousin. His name is Dantai Bailey. May he rest in peace. He actually, he committed suicide at the age of 16. He was 4 years older than me, and I always knew him as my big bro. It was my mom's sister, only son or only child, period, besides me. Okay. Losing him at such a young age, I was 12 at the time, it was very devastating because you have these relationships with people and then all of a sudden they're gone. And just watching my mom grieve, my aunt grieve, my grandmother grieve, but I can feel it. Like I remember feeling hurt and feeling pain and feeling sadness. And that I was about in a 6th grade or 6th grade, but then about a year later, my junior high school boyfriend, Lois Holtz, I'm gonna have to look them up, the Holtz family out of California. He ended up having an accident, riding a moped, and he died, and we had to go to his funeral and do all this, and just experiencing that grief, like depression, not wanting to go outside. So I can most definitely vividly remember that
Yeah.
without having the services to wrap, or anyone to wrap any support or love around me. So
Yeah.
we're gonna get into that.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I think that what our personal experiences, Tarsha and I have been talking about it over the last, we talk, we go there, we have therapy sessions. And so we realize that it's not enough support for children, which is why we're so excited to have the guests that we have here today, because that is what they're all about. And the Michael organization is doing some amazing things. They have been recognized in the community. They've received the Spirit of Detroit Award. They have been featured on Channel 4 News. She was honored. They were honored at the Detroit Derby brunch. And they've received an award at the Detroit Choice Awards. I'm going to let her get into some more of that, but that's just they do back to school drives. I mean, just really moving in the community, giving our youth that are grieving a place to be safe and to not be forgotten, to let them know that they're not being forgotten. So without further ado, I just want to get into the conversation and talk with our guests.
Yes.
Welcome, guys.
We're going to have you introduce yourselves and the organizations that you're representing today. We usually talk about some form of music. What type
We
of?
do.
Yeah, just let us know what you're
So
listening
tell us
to
the
these
music.
days.
What is a song that you listen to when you are in your lowest space that kind of brings you out? Let's talk about that. So give us one, or if you don't have one, it's fine.
For me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I wouldn't say it's just a particular one.
Wait,
Tasha
tell us your
Khan.
name.
Oh, you want me to introduce myself?
Yes,
My
yes,
apologies.
And then
Okay.
add that on. No apologies. We did kind of go there. Okay, but it's fine. Yeah.
All right, so for those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Takara Woods, and I am the founder of the Michael organization. Now, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but the Michael organization, it's an acronym, and it stands for Miracles to Inspire Change and Healing After Experiencing Loss.
Yes. I never knew that until today. Actually, Rachel was like, it is an acronym. I'm saying, let me see how she. Yes.
But the dopeness of the acronym, that's how you know it's just God. But go ahead, I can cut you
Absolutely. So what I'll do is just talk about the music first, and then I'll get, of course, into the story. But during those darkest times, the gospel actually helped. Then throughout my pregnancy, and even now with my daughter, we love some Tasha Cobbs.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes,
I don't know if there's a favorite song or a particular one. So many albums, so much good music. So
Yes.
that's it for me.
We have to agree with you on that. We
Yes,
like
I
Tasha
most
Cobbs.
definitely rocks with Tasha.
All right.
What's that other little beauty down there?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Hi, my name is Tamaya Woods-Dotzy, and my organization is the Grief Geeks. What we do for the Grief Geeks, we dress up as geeks, and we do like different kind of TikToks on TikTok, and we post them, and we post them on Facebook and Instagram, stuff like that. And
You're bringing awareness, right? You
Yes.
post those videos for awareness. Yeah, that's
Right.
good.
Just educating the world about children's grief.
Absolutely. We love it. We've been posting on our page because we just love the videos. They're so cute. I mean, just the cutest videos ever to bring awareness. And so if you're on our page, make sure that you guys go give them a follow. They're tagged in most of our posts that we posted about them.
Absolutely. It's Children's Grief Awareness Month, and so that's one of the larger reasons why we wanted to have the Michael's organization on here, as well as Grief Geeks, because who's better to tell the story than them, who to talk about it, because that's what they do.
All right.
We good?
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
So go into it, Miss Takara.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
so tell
Yes.
us about the Michael organization. Tell us when it started, the behind story of it, the motivation behind it.
Okay, absolutely. So Michael started a few years ago. We're going on year 6 this year. This is my daughter, Tamaya. She's currently 7. Michael was her father's name. Just giving you guys like she said, a backstory. I was pregnant with Tamaya in my last semester at Wayne State in social work, studying to be a therapist. We were just having an amazing time, right? Just enjoying life, new experiences, just starting, a season of newness. The week after our baby shower, we were celebrating, like I said, we're celebrating life. We're celebrating Tamaya coming here. And a week after the baby shower, we lost her father due to gun violence in the city of Detroit. So it definitely was a difficult time for me, not only in, the last semester in school, but also being pregnant, right? And then dealing with the loss. So it was just so much trauma during that time. So thank God for my supports. I'll say that you guys started off, and one of the questions that you asked was about supports. To be honest, if it was not for my supports, I would honestly not be where I am today. So shout out to all of my supports, those who are watching or those who may see this down the line. We truly appreciate you.
When you say supports, what is it that you needed at that time or received at that time that helped you through that storm or that very difficult time?
Okay, so definitely I needed someone to listen to me. I needed to be heard. The times that I wanted to be surrounded with love, I wanted it. The times that I wanted to be by myself, I needed it. So being able to be connected with individuals and my family, and even friends that have turned family, who was there for, the hugs, the talks, the crying, even the silent moments, just being there being there with me throughout that time. Like I said, it was my last semester. Those courses that I was taking during that time was only offered in the winter. And this is, like I said, a week after the baby shower and 4 weeks about to give birth to her. I had to make a decision. Do I continue school and then, wait to next year to graduate? Do I keep the plans that we had and the mission going? Like, what do I do? And if it had not been for my family, I would have not been able to continue school, after giving birth to her and do the necessary things to actually be where we are today.
Yeah.
I can totally see that, because in grief, it's so many stages in grief. You can go from depressed to angry to
back to angry, back to depressed, so many of them.
So
it doesn't go
out of those stages so often when you sometimes feel like, hey, I'm good, and then a few days later you're back.
Or maybe an hour later, because we know that sometimes certain songs trigger, smells, certain restaurants, certain TV shows, like so much can take you back into that grieving space. So,
absolutely. You want to say something? So like you said, I tell people all the time when I'm doing grief work that grief comes in milestones. Of course, for birthdays, death anniversaries, those things, of course, grief is triggered during that time. But those milestones, you have individuals who have lost parents, who lost parents as a child, and think that they are processing and healing and all is well. I'll say a woman, for instance, and then we're, 15, 20 years down the line, and then she gets married. And then not having her father to walk her down the aisle, that's an actual trigger. And so I hear people say all the time, the individuals that I work with, I thought I was healing and growing. And just because that milestone has, of course, approached itself does not mean that you're not still healing and growing from the loss.
Absolutely, because it's continual.
Absolutely.
Like, people think that grief can be a lifetime, but it's just how you accept it and cope with it during those times where you're not feeling your best, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so can you tell us a little bit more about what the Michael's organization does in the community?
Absolutely. I do have a little bit more to add, of course.
This is your space. This is your space. Let our viewers know.
Because it's something that we know that needs to be told.
Yes.
And just watching you from the very beginning, of starting it to now, I know that you have done amazing things, like, and how much you have helped the community. I've watched you, so please.
So let's brag about it. Let's talk about it. I want to
It's
hear
time to brag about us.
Let's brag about it. Pop your stuff, okay?
But honestly, we talked about having supports. We talked about those feelings of depression. Some of you who are watching and those who are aware of who I am, I'm used to wearing that superwoman cape. I have it all together. I do these things. I help a lot. I do a lot in the community. And losing Michael, it was a vulnerable place for me. I had to show those deepest, darkest feelings. I wasn't Superwoman anymore. I had to live and understand the fact that, of course, I am human.
Yes.
So during this time, of course, like I said, I'm in my last semester in school. At that particular time, my work and my passion was centered around still children, but children survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault.
Okay.
So my background has been in trauma for quite some time. Never could imagine in a million years that I would have shifted my focus from domestic violence and sexual assault to actual homicide loss. But things happen, as my uncle say, for things to happen. So I am grateful for those things, the good, the bad, the ugly. Like I said, those things have shaped me to be who I am. So in my trauma work, of course, I'm always thinking outside of the box. What can I do to help the children? What can I do to help the families? And during this particular time, like I said, I'm proactive. So I gave birth to my daughter. I had so many emotions. I went through depression, through postpartum, you name it, anxiety, anger, fear, all of those feelings, which we say all the time. It's okay for you to feel those feelings. We are human, and grief is normal. It is. It's a part of life. So I went through all of those things, and here I am thinking ahead, and I'm like, okay, so she's young. I see so many stats, out there that saying that children who've experienced a traumatic loss, especially when it comes to homicide, those will be the children who, of course, commit those same crimes. And I said, oh, not on my watch.
Not mine.
Absolutely
Not mine.
No, not at all. So I looked out. I said, okay, I'm going to do some research. It's research-based. I'm going to find some organizations ahead of time. I'm going to be completely proactive and find some organizations ahead of time so when she gets of age, she'll have a support group outside of us, kids who have shared similar loss like her, and just groups that have been around for quite some time doing this work. And to be honest, when I was doing the research, it was only 2 or 3 organizations that I had stumbled across. Most of them were grief related, all grief, not homicide specific. And I wanted something to, of course, tap into this population to not only help my daughter, but other kids who have gone through it before her and the kids that may go through it after her. So I sat there and I'm like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? Let's do more research. I think the hardest part about it, to be honest, was coming up with the acronym for her father's name. Everything else just came so natural. Already understanding trauma, going to school and taking licensing exam to be a clinical therapist, that was already a part of the plan. This was just a shift in the plan to be able to tap into a different population. So, so I sat there, we came up with the name. The Michael organization is strictly for children who have suffered a traumatic loss. Shortly, we'll talk about the Grief Shop and the Grief Geeks and the things that we do for grief as a whole. But yes, being able to, understand the feelings that I was going through and possibly the feelings that my daughter would go through throughout this time, and just having some additional support to help us and to help those who are connected to us, to help those who don't even know us, who may be going through some of those things. That was, the baseline of it. So, like I said, trauma work was, that's what I did. And so we just shift the focus, not to say that we don't do the work, but I have to understand, and you guys have to understand too, that grief and trauma is connected in different ways. So we get out there in the community. We do a lot of education and awareness. My daughter will be able to speak to that. Some people, most of us, I should say, think that grief is only connected to a physical loss. So physical loss and death, and not understanding that grief is a loss of a friendship, a loss of a relationship, a loss of an opportunity,
Loss of a job.
the loss of a job. There you go, loss of finances.
All type of stuff. Yeah, home.
Absolutely. So she'll be able to speak to that shortly. But this is what we do. We do grief work across the board. My organization is, homicide specific, child homicide survivors, of course. But we do have some other things that we do in the community and do the grief work as a whole.
So can I ask you, at that moment when you decided that this is something that you needed to do, did you have a feeling like maybe I shouldn't do it? Like, was it like instant, did you wrestle with it? Like what? Because it's courageous to take your loss and your grief and then decide I'm going to take it and help other people. Like what
Turn it
was
into
the
a positive.
like what was the turning point that made you say, okay, I know you had the support, your family is super supportive.
Absolutely.
I mean, so like what made you, you know what I'm saying? Like what was that turning factor for you to say, I'm going to take this and turn it into a positive, like Tasha said?
It was the statistics that I saw. It was looking into my daughter's eyes and then understanding that she was not the only one who was possibly going through this. And it came to me, I wasn't, teetering with it or back and forth. I felt and knew that was my purpose.
Conviction.
Yes.
Absolutely. Being able to turn this level of pain, because to be honest with you, I can be transparent, because of course transparency is something that we work through when we are healing. But I was at one of my deepest, darkest times. Some of you know my story, so I'm no stranger to grief and loss or traumatic loss. Just from the neighborhoods and growing up in Detroit and Highland Park, and then those things that I've endured just throughout from childhood up into adulthood. So definitely just being able to turn that pain into something different and be able to, give back and help in a larger capacity from what, of course, I had been doing for quite some time.
Awesome. That's amazing to take something. Every time I think about your daughter, I'm like, this was a perfect way to keep her father's name alive, because she would grow up not knowing him in the physical form, but through this organization and being able to help others, she's living out like this greater mission, and it's because of her father.
Yeah.
There's so many other people that will be blessed by this just based on his loss. So this is pretty phenomenal.
Can I ask you, so how the recipients who you service, how do you find them? How could somebody who might be going through this reach out to you, or how do you decide who you're going to work with, what children?
Okay, so a
family.
lot of work that we've done started off being word of mouth. People have attended a particular event because, of course, we do recreational and fun events in the community, because we still want kids to have, different coping skills. We want kids to be kids. They've experienced so much hurt and so much pain, so we give that outlet for them and provide them to connect with other kids, because it shows that helps them throughout their healing journey. So word of mouth through those events, when I'm walking around the events and introducing myself, and they understand that it's a greater purpose than just giving out backpacks or having a Halloween event. We're getting the community together and letting individuals know that, of course, our kids, they do grieve, and they need our support. So word of mouth and social media is big. We'll post education and awareness on social media, and then people, shoot us an inbox or send an email or even call the line and just, hey, not even that. As I said before, I'm a licensed clinical therapist. So I have my own private practice where I provide individual and, group and family therapy. And so sometimes individuals are coming to me, adults and children. Of course, with the kids, the parents are, I don't know if they're grieving. I don't know the signs. Can you help me? This is what you specialize in, grief, trauma, and loss. And then I still have some adults who have gone through some form of grief as a child, and now saying, I didn't understand that the grief actually is currently affected me now. So word of mouth, social media, the events, and then, of course, the line of work that I do with therapy.
Okay.
Can you talk about that a bit for our viewers about the different symptoms and signs of grief within children that you've observed or just in your expertise?
Please.
Okay, absolutely. So definitely it varies. All kids grieve differently. Some parents think that if the kids are playing, then everything is okay. That's a part of the problem. Our kids are our forgotten mourners is what we call them. Because kids, of course, exhibit their grief through play. And then you can, of course, get confused. You're like, okay, well, they're playing, they're not thinking about it. Sometimes the kids are, angry, they're frustrated, and there are some behavior shifts in school. And I hear a lot of parents, oh, my daughter, my child, they're acting out. That's a part of grief. So we want to be able to, identify what those symptoms are so we have those conversations. Some kids are sleeping a lot. Some kids aren't getting any sleep. You see a decrease in the grades. You see isolation. Kids are being numb. You see a lot of behavioral shifts. Sometimes with eating, across the board, there are so many emotional, physical, and mental symptoms that's connected to grief.
Yes, the cutting. It's a lot.
It's deep.
Yes.
Eating disorders, like she said, I've seen that children come in the grieving process.
We probably experienced that.
Absolutely.
I'm emotionally connected to some food, okay?
That's probably where it started at. My mom used to be like, are you hungry or is it good? And I'd be like, it's good. Definitely was eating my emotions for sure.
Wow.
Okay, so I would like to talk to this beautiful lady right here, this young lady with this beautiful smile, and just tell us
how Grief Geeks got started, from the Michael's organization. How did we transition over to that? Yes.
Yeah. Actually, we started the Grief Geeks like 3 weeks, 4 weeks after I got out of second grade.
Okay. Now, what prompted that? Like what?
What made you get started?
I just wanted to teach the world about grief, and I wanted to teach it more without having just one business. I wanted to go out everywhere.
Yes, I don't know if you guys remember, but she was on our Boss Baby episode. So you just heard why she was, because she said she wanted to create more than one business to help others.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to get into how COVID has affected how you are able to help, because I'm in education. I've been in education for roughly about 20 years, and I did some contract work with some regular families, and then I'm also now back into the schools. And you mentioned earlier kind of we talked about that grief just isn't from the loss of family members, but I don't think that parents understand the grief that these children have experienced due to COVID, and the energy in those schools and the fear that these babies are feeling, and alone. They're feeling so alone because they're grieving life before COVID. Nobody's listening to them. They don't have, they're not allowed to be kids. They're engulfed in all of the vaccine talk. They're engulfed in virtual. They don't want to be virtual. They want to be with their friends, their family. They don't want to be at home. And these babies are crying out. Like it's something very heart-wrenching to watch as an educator. So just how have you been able to push your mission in the midst of COVID?
Okay, so in the beginning, it was difficult. I'm used to those one-on-one meetings or the group meetings within the community, and when COVID struck, we were just, scrambling, trying to think outside of the box of what to do. So what we ended up doing, we sat down, we talked about it. We had our very first virtual summer camp, which you talked about being featured on Channel 4. So we had to really, like I said, think outside of the box. Every week, we met twice a week virtually. The kids were already sick and tired of virtual work because
They
it
are
just
so
transitioned.
tired of it.
So we had to make it fun. We had to take it above that level.
We went from like basketball to yoga to art. We just tried to do everything.
Fun to keep them engaged. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
That
Because
is.
playing basketball virtually.
Let's tell you about it. So like she said, we had so many things. We had different instructors that we reached out to. So I believe it was Monday and Wednesday. Every Monday and Wednesday we had camp. But that Sunday before, every kid got a basket. I mean, everything that you needed for, the week after. So if we had basketball, we had a basketball instructor because physical activity, of course, helps with coping with grief and loss. So we had a basketball instructor come in. But that week prior to basketball, the kids received, Spalding basketballs, Nike sweatbands and, headbands with their names on it, handheld games, everything that was basketball related. And we called it Hoops for Healing.
Yes.
So they learned how to do different techniques and things like that. Tamaya can tell you a little bit more about it.
Yes, Tamaya.
I forgot to mention when I was talking about how many activities we did. We did dance. We just tried to keep them educated. Basketball was hard because that we were virtual and people were getting tired, needed water.
Yeah. So which one was your favorite to do?
My favorite was basketball and dance.
Yeah. Okay.
I can totally believe that because on all the TikTok videos, she back there, hey. I said, get it, girl.
I'm like, you better. You better.
That would have been my favorite, too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Dance,
So,
definitely.
COVID, that's, like I said, how we did the virtual camp. And then, like she said, after she got out of school, we were thinking of, once again, a fun way to be able to allow kids to be kids and still talk about the grief. So as I showed you before when she was talking, when we talk about Grief Geeks, we dress up like geeks. We have our glasses with the tape, our suspenders, some high-waisted pants, and we just educate the world about children's grief through videos, within the community, just through talks and things of that nature. So we did have to, of course, shift with COVID. It was scary in the beginning, but it did not stop our show. We knew that the work still had to be done, and even more so, not only were our children that we were working with, they were coping with the loss of losing someone traumatically, which is what started them with us, but now they're grieving all of the changes due to COVID. So we could not say, well, COVID has stopped us from doing the work. That means that the grief has intensified, that depression, the loss of the friendships, not being able to see their teachers and have a healthy outlet. So we had to go even harder for our kids. And so, like I said, we went to the drawing board. We reached out to so many people. Art, like she said, the art that we did. What else can you think of? Can we get you the turn? They're right there.
I think, did we do Halloween before COVID or after?
So we did Halloween before COVID. We had an event called Trick or Treat Off the Streets. 600 people showed up.
Wow.
So what we did was allowed a safe space within the city for kids to actually go trick or treat. We had a
DJ, bounce house. There was an upstairs part where people were showing their nonprofits.
Okay, the vendors.
And downstairs was a whole bunch of people playing around. There was a little tiny haunted house by the side where it was scary noises and stuff like that.
At a photo booth, remember?
Yeah, the photo booth.
We passed out so many resources. So we had 15 organizations, some nonprofit, some for-profit, who came out and they passed out the candy along with their resources. So someone could be grieving but having financial concerns. Someone could be grieving and needing a mentoring program.
Because life doesn't stop when you grieve.
Absolutely, it does not.
Yes. Yes, that is amazing. I can't wait to attend one of those events.
So with COVID, we just had Halloween. This is Children's Grief Awareness Month, November, guys.
Absolutely.
Drop your blue hearts when you're posting. Bring some awareness to this crisis that's happening right now, especially in our community, because we know that sometimes resources are not available for in the inner city for us. And so it's the reason for the show, to bring awareness for it. So do you have anything going for this month for the children? Go ahead.
We actually do. If you don't know, Children's Grief Awareness Day is on Thursday this week coming up.
No, November 18th.
Thursday, November 18th.
So we have another week, and then it's coming.
And we're actually, I think on Thursday, we're supposed to have a movie night, send pizza to the people's houses who are joining us.
Oh, I just love it so much.
I know. I'm like,
So, like she said, Children's Grief Awareness Month, it's recognized every November. You'd be surprised. We have schools, so many different places and organizations who work with children who are not aware of Children's Grief Awareness Month. Children's Grief Awareness Day is always the third Thursday in November. And so it's, of course, to boost awareness to people who do not know, to show kids that you are a support. Either you were a grieving child before, or you are with them every step of the way, and you're going to provide some services or resources. We just want to get it out there. So last year during COVID, we had a balloon release.
Yeah, balloon.
Balloon and lantern release where we got the kids out. That's when we received the Spirit of Detroit Award. At that time, and we'll talk a little bit about this a little bit later, but our other business is called the Grief Shop. We were able to create Christmas ornaments that had the loved one's picture of all the kids who had attended the event. So
Well,
we
you know
did
what?
that last year.
I think that is amazing. It's dope. But I want to get into the grief shop because we don't have as much time left. Because I do want to spend some time about what you guys are doing and all these super dope shirts y'all have going on the merch. So
the merch.
It's just amazing.
So the Grief Shop, we, of course, create and sell personalized items for individuals. So we create lanterns of your loved ones. We've did puzzles before, ornaments. Anything else you can think of? Dog tags.
Yeah, dog tags.
The balloons. We do create the memorial balloons where you can put your loved one's
seen
picture
that. I
on
love
it.
that
Different
idea.
picture collages. So all things grief is what we say. We want to be able to provide personalized items because, of course, memorialization is a part of the grieving and the healing process. So to be able to get something to, honor the person that you love and lost is what we do. Tamaya's going to tell you, too, about the merch.
yes, come
that
tell us
we
about
have.
this merch. We
Yes.
got some merch here.
We do have
Yes,
some,
they
as you
brought us.
guys
They
can
were so
see.
kind to bring Rachel and I some merchandise.
Yes. It's so many good ones. It's hard for us to choose just
Yes.
one. Tamaya.
First, we started just making shirts with different designs and words on them.
Can you tell them some of the words on the shirt?
My grief matters.
Check out theirs.
Healing in progress. Please be patient.
Okay.
That cute one that you have on right
grieving
now.
ain't easy, but someone's got to do it. Grieve me alone.
My grief matters.
And then don't tell me how to grieve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for the kids,
Yeah.
as adults.
If don't tell me how to grieve, it's just if kids want to be left alone and they're grieving and they just want space and no one to talk to them. And yeah.
So where can they find these? Where can people, our listeners go and find this merch so that they can support and get their shirts for November 18th and wear these
Yes.
on that day for grief awareness?
Yes.
You can, some people can call us, like text us, or like email us, or like just like talk to us.
Social media too. Don't forget.
Yeah, like on like text us on Instagram.
Instagram.
And what's the
Facebook.
Instagram name? What is it?
For the grief shop, it is the_grief_shop. And then for the Michael organization, it is the_Michael_org. Just org. And then for the Grief Geeks, it is just it's just grief.
It's just grief_geeks.
geeks.
Yep. And we will definitely make sure that we add those handles.
Yeah, they're on our social media page.
Yeah, so you can go
at
to our
Blessed Friendzz
pages
right
for
now.
sure, and they're tagged in it, and we'll make sure that when we post again, we'll make sure we keep them in there.
Before we get ready to explore, what upcoming events and things of that nature, can you give a word of advice to, because the winter months are coming during this time, just seasonally, people not being outside, they can experience more depression. They have that whole sad seasonal affect disorder and stuff. And so it can cause more depression during this season. Do you have some tips for parents or caregivers or things to look out for kids who may have lost individuals during this time, just so they can be aware and any type of coping skills to wrap them with during this time?
Absolutely.
So what I would start with for the parents is take care of yourself. In order for you to be there for them, of course, you have to take care of yourself. We're used to that Superman, Superwoman syndrome, and we want to, pretend that we have it all together. Part of healing is being transparent about your loss.
Yes.
Showing kids the healthy and effective ways to grieve. And check on your kids. Sometimes we get caught up in our phones and everybody's on social media and we're separated within the home.
Please check on your babies.
Just, have conversations. You'd be surprised. Like I said, I'm a professional. This is the work that I do. So I have lived grief. I have learned grief, and I love the work that I do. But you'd be surprised, even me as the professional here. There was a point in time where, which was the first funeral that my daughter had attended, was her great-great-grandmother, Grandma Bay.
Grandma Bay, rest in peace,
Grandma
Bay.
Bay. So here I am taking the professional side of it and just outside of it and trying to be that support for my kid, because this is the first funeral that she's going to attend. So, instead of riding with the family, I bring her ahead of time because I know, Grandma Bay was just, the person to everybody. So
She was everybody, Grandma.
Yes, I knew what that would mean. So, I had her go ahead of time. And so just to walk up, we talked and did those things. And here I am, not crying at all, trying to just pretend to hold it together for her. And, kids, they pay attention.
Yes.
And we're talking months down the line. She just brought it back up, and she said to me, she said, which is her great-grandma, she said, Grandma Jack was crying at the funeral. And I was like, okay, I'm trying to see what she's talking about. And she said, and Camden was crying at the funeral. And she's like naming all these people. And I said, that's because they missed Grandma Bay and they were hurt. She said, oh, okay. Well, you must not miss Grandma Bay, or you must not be hurt because you weren't crying.
Yes.
And I said, oh my. So we have to have this conversation, being, age appropriate, of course, but being, real to the kids and showing them that healthy form of grieving. I hear kids that I work with quite some time saying that parents are telling them they cannot be angry. Anger is a normal feeling, just like happiness and sadness, or not to cry, especially to our boys. I hear the young boys that I work with, like, hey, I'm grieving the loss of my dad, and mom's telling me not to cry, and boys don't cry. These generational things are affecting our children.
Yes,
Not
they
only
are. Talk about it.
That's right. Not only are we far behind when it comes to grief. Like I said before, it's Children's Grief Awareness Month. The schools aren't even talking about it. The schools are housing our kids.
They are not.
You see so many kids, if you look at the stats, so many teachers are saying that the grades are dropping. And it's, a behavioral thing. Nobody's really talking about that grief
They are
and that
not.
trauma that's connected to it. And that's where, we step in. We want to, be those spokes people for grief and loss. But like you said, throughout this time, just being able to talk to your kids and be supportive. This one here, she will not hold me up. We could be listening to a gospel song, and it was a song, and someone said, I could have been sleep laying in my dead in my grave, but God made death behave. And she walked, and I'm just praising, and she comes downstairs, she's like, got a question. So God made death behave for her, but not my dad. This doesn't make sense. So we can never be completely prepared for what our kids are going to ask us, but we don't want to shut that down. We want to be as open as possible. And if you don't know, say, you know what, I don't know. I'm just as confused as you are. Be real. When you block it out, the kids start to keep their grief inside because they think that, well, mom isn't showing it or dad isn't showing it. So this is not the way to do it. And so now they're unable to grieve, in a healthy way. So we have open communication all the time. There was another time she said to me, like, I'm mad at God. I was like, well, wait a minute. So, and I was like, what do you mean? And so she's very vocal about her feelings to me, and I allow it to flow. I mean, sometimes it's flowing conversations and it's flowing tears, and it's okay. I'm not wiping my face to stop it. It's like, this is real hardcore feelings. This is what we are going through, and we are going to get through this together.
Amen. I love it. Was that song He Can?
What was the name of that
talking
song?
about?
Grateful.
Grateful.
It's called Grateful.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was like one of my go-tos, and I'm in the moment, and she's like, let's put a pause on this.
Right. Make it make sense, Mama. Because I don't understand it.
And that's a good point. And I was just saying that's a good point to just to allow your kids the space to even ask the questions that they may be thinking. That's a part of coping as well, just being there and present with them during that time. So that's pretty awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
So I want to get to what Tamaya's doing, because she's doing something that's pretty cool, and we're going to get to, what's going on next, because we're going to start wrapping up soon. Okay. But briefly, if you can tell us what you are doing over there, Miss Grief Geek.
Well, so far, like a couple months ago, I was like making videos and staying active, but like the whole entire month after that, like there were no new videos posted, no new news.
But aren't you working on something? Your time and your personal time, what have you been doing?
I've been working on writing a book.
Yeah.
Talk about your author tonight.
Working on that book. The author, business owner.
Bestseller, future bestseller.
Yes. Speak it into existence. That's what we talking about.
Talk about it.
How's that process been so far for you? Are you enjoying it?
Yes.
You are? Well, what's your favorite part about writing your book right now?
Just having like different details about grief.
Okay, that's cool.
You want to tell them a little bit about like what the book is?
The book is about like...
Is it a title for it yet? Not yet. Okay.
Still working on that.
Yeah, it'll come.
It's talking about you can grieve many. There are different types of grief. There's not just only when someone dies.
So it's a collections grief book. She wanted to write a chapter book, and I was a little afraid starting off, thinking that if we aren't already ready to talk about grief, then people may be opposed to the chapter book. And so it's a collections book, and it's going to be different forms of grief, but through animals. So we can just give you an example. Anybody want to talk about Buttercup or any other people?
Buttercup, she was a caterpillar before, and she turned into a butterfly, and you can grieve from missing the old you.
That's the truth.
You better tell the truth. Some people want to stay in that place.
They do. Yeah, because the grief is too strong, so they can't let it go. Yeah.
I I wrote about this zebra. His name is Stripes. And he was like missing his family due to COVID and all the changes. And he was confused on why he couldn't see his family, questioning his mom about like, how come I can't see my family? He was sad about it. He had like a lot of different emotions.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are covering a few of them, which is needed.
It's very, very needed.
So congratulations on that. And
When is that projected?
yeah, do you have a projected release date, or are we asking too many questions?
So we are still working on it because it started off as a chapter book and we switched over. It's actually a reading book and an activity book, so it's a two-part.
Oh,
So there's going to be
good.
coloring pages, different
love
activities that you can do at home to be able to cope with your loss. So just bear with us. It'll be out next year.
When it
we're
comes,
gonna be
we
promoting
will,
it,
okay? Promoting. Don't you worry about it, viewers and listeners. When it drop, y'all gonna
Support our babies,
Period.
our young and baby bosses.
Baby
Yes.
bosses.
We're gonna support them all.
What's next for the Michael organization? Do you have
Yes.
anything coming up?
So yes, absolutely. So micro-organization and Grief Geeks, what we're doing, of course, for Children's Grief Awareness Month, we are doing a virtual, because of COVID, we're doing a virtual activity and movie night. So you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, we are watching the movie Inside Out.
Yeah.
Inside Out has like a different feelings. So that is like while we're watching it. And on Saturday we are doing like kind of like a bowling thing, and it's called When Grief Strikes.
Oh, so is that on November 20th?
So we're still confirming with the actual bowling alley if we could do the 20th or the week after. So we're still working on that.
All right.
So
Well, when you find out, please
will
let us
definitely
know.
keep you guys
I most
posted.
definitely want to
I'm
come.
sure you do.
What's set
I
right
can't
now?
bowl. They're gonna put the bumpers out, but I'm coming.
What's set is the actual thing that she said, which is the activity night, the activity and movie night. So we're talking about feelings. So we have an activity that we're going to do. All the kids, like before in summer camp, they're going to get their kit. I'm going to either drop off or mail off for the people who sign up. It's going to be the mask that we use. So the kids are able to, color, paint, write words, markers. It's inside, outside feelings. So they're going to start off by, writing or, like I said, drawing, coloring what they feel in the inside, which people don't know about. And then once we're done with that, do the artwork on the outside to talk about the feelings that are different from what we feel and what we express to the people and how those feelings should be connected. We talked about the Superman and the Superwoman syndrome, but
It's kind of like you're coloring a mask, and you color how much, like, for example, if you're angry, you color how much of the part of your body, how much you are angry, color how much you are happy, sad, like
you can be happy.
confused.
You can still be happy and hopeful when you're grieving. I tell parents that all the time. Grief does not mean just sadness. My daughter talked to me about feelings of jealousy. I didn't even know she knew what jealousy was. But these kids they're going through some things, and they want to be able to talk about it. So we're going to talk about those feelings and emotions and give coping skills. We're going to watch the movie Inside Out. I'm going to have delivered. I'm not a delivery person. I'm going to have pizza delivered to all of the houses, and popcorn and candy, all those things that you need for the movie night. We're going to do that virtually, and then either the following week or the week after, we're going to do our When Grief Strikes.
Yeah.
So or is it a cap, or can people still join this movement for November 18th?
Join it. That's what we want. There's no cap.
Okay.
There is no
Yeah,
cap.
here, pass the word along.
So, do they contact you at the Michael?
They can do either or because we are connecting both organizations there, because some people, like I said, have that homicide-specific loss, and then some others are grieving other losses, and we don't want to, leave anybody out. So we are connecting the funding from both organizations to be able to create on a larger scale. So for the homicide specific, you can go to the Michael Organization's Facebook or Instagram. The link will be posted tonight to actually register for that actual event, or you can go to, it's going to be on the Grief Shop, it's going to be on the Grief Geeks. We're going to have the link.
On Blessed Friends, for sure.
Really fast, are you taking donations? I hear a lot of this. How can someone, if they want to donate to you, get
Or
to you or support?
Absolutely. So we have, of course, PayPal. We are connected with Mighty Cause, and so there's going to be a Giving Tuesday. I don't know if you guys know about Giving Tuesday. So we have, Thanksgiving on Thursday, we got Black Friday, we got Cyber Monday, but we also have Giving Tuesday for the nonprofits. So Mighty Cause is putting together a Giving Tuesday grants and fundraising event, and so we are a part of that. You're able to give in that capacity on Giving Tuesday. We have, the Venmos and the Cash Apps and the PayPals and those things. So, of course, we're always accepting funding. We want to be able to continue providing quality services for our youth in the city.
Thank you, guys.
Blessed
Make
Friends
sure
will
that
be
you-
supporting
Yes,
that
we
and
will.
sharing that information with
will.
our viewers.
We will.
We just want to thank you
so much.
so much
Yes,
for
I'm
coming
so
on
proud
tonight.
of you.
Thank you.
I've been knowing her since she was her daughter's age. When I first met her.
Yes.
She is an extension of my family, and when I just said that I'm so proud of her, I really am. We are proud of you.
This is great. This is amazing. And like we said, if you want to connect with the Michael Organization, you can check them out on all social media platforms.
Grief Geeks.
Yes, as well as the Grief Geeks.
Don't forget about the Grief Shop.
Yeah, the Grief Shop.
Get you some good
Listen,
merch.
outside of our merch.
Get your shirt right now for November 18th. You don't have any excuse.
Absolutely. You can.
Get
It doesn't.
now.
It doesn't have to be the blue one. You can pick whatever design you want in blue.
They have so many.
So if something stands out to you, and then when the Christmas season comes up, like I said, memorialization is a part of the healing process. So we are creating those ornaments with with your loved ones' faces and the words that you want on it to, put them, on your tree and to have them celebrate with you throughout the holidays.
Yeah, so thank you again.
Thank you.
We are so honored to have you guys.
Yes, we are.
Just remember, anyone, that you can donate if you would like to donate to the Michael Organization or the Grief Geeks. Grief Geeks.
Grief Shop. Make sure you get to that Grief
Yes,
Shop.
that's another form of support by buying some merch from them. You can check out their information on our social media pages at Blessed Friends
on Facebook and YouTube.
Yes, and we Blessed Friends. Next, Blesstie Convos After Dark will be on November 18th.
Make sure y'all tune in.
Yes,
8 o'clock.
At 8 o'clock. We will be talking about sex again, you guys, but with a panel of men. It's going to be a little different, though, this time.
Yes, so we're going to be.
Tune in.
Tune in.
At blessedfriends.com.
Stay connected with us. We are moving and grooving, and we are appreciating all the support.
Yes.
And we just thank all of our faithful listeners and supporters.
We couldn't do none of this without
Yes, we
you.
can. And so we are always so grateful for you guys. So just thank you so much, Blesstie.
Yes, and if it's anyone that is looking for any advertisement or marketing, then please contact us and we can go from there at Blessed Friends.
Yep, at Blessed Friends.
Thank you. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Yes, to Michael Organization and the Grief
for having
Geeks.
us.
Yes. Our awesome engineer Joe over here.
Yes.
Love him as well. Give him some love. Give yourself a little applause.
And we are
We are out.